Daniel Alba, act shocked. Pokémon Presents has been announced. They never do these in February every year. It never happens. But on the 27th, they have announced that they are doing one at 2 p.m. UTC, which is 6 a.m. Pacific. And I can see we've got a few people who should be asleep in live audience right now. We're recording this at 9 a.m. UK time, 1 a.m. PT. Daniel should be asleep too. We've got some Canadians, we've got some Pacifics in there. But yeah, it's time to predict the Pokémon Presents. We only know of one major game being Z. So what do you think they're going to talk about in this?
Yeah, that's the main one, right? Because we've only seen anything about Pokemon Legends ZA last year, and that wasn't even like specific gameplay. It was just like a concept that we were still trying to interpret to this day.
Yeah.
We still don't know what that trailer means. So we'll hopefully figure that out within the week, and I'm really excited to see because I love Legends Arceus. That was one of my favorite Pokemon games on the Switch, and I'm glad that this is becoming a series that's going to continue from here on out. But I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about that as well. As far as what else we'll see, honestly, Pokemon Day Pokemon Presents has kind of become like, here's all the mobile title updates that we've got, especially in recent years. Like we've got Pokemon Unites, Pokemon Sleep, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Masters EX, which is still a thing. We've got all these other mobile
Pokemon
titles.
Cafe Remix, the trading card game,
Cafe.
Light now.
Yeah.
There's way too much for them to update us on, and that will occupy probably 20 minutes until we get to something that we really want to see. I guess here is the age-old Pokemon Presents question. Will they do NSO games in this one?
If they do NSO games, it's going to be something that's not an actual mainline title. We're going to get Pokemon Pinball. I hope we get Pokemon
That'd be
Pinball.
Cool.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that they would announce and release very soon, or circling around Pokemon Presents. Is there any like specific Pokemon game on NSO you'd like to see that may not be a specific generational title?
I mean, Pinball would be cool. I'm kind of thinking though. Usually they have like a new generation by now. Like, this is sort of the cycle. And I do wonder if maybe doing NSO games kind of makes sense this time. Because there isn't, like, we have Legends Z, but they're not doing a new generation of Pokemon. So maybe doing legacy games is a good way to fill that gap. I think it's made sense for years, but more than ever, this is kind of the right time to do it. But I guess there's a bigger question of, will they release them as part of NSO? Or will they just sell them on their own because they know that people will buy these?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because we had so many of those titles released on the 3DS eShop. There's so many ones that you had connectivity, so you can transfer those Pokemon to Pokemon Home today.
That's an important part of it. Yeah, you can't really do that anymore. You can't download a lot of the stuff from the eShop, and it's basically lost older media now. So it kind of makes sense to bring Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 with GBA forward like that, especially with the home interactivity, bringing them forward to future games.
Yeah, the biggest pull absolutely would be Gen 3 because we didn't have those on NSO or on the eShop for the 3DS. So that's a whole generation of Pokemon that you can transfer if you have them there. And we've had this kind of connectivity just ready and waiting to go because we have Pokemon Stadium on N64, and I feel like that's something you can connect data to if you wanted to. It makes sense.
It's just save file data. It should be really easy to transfer that stuff. Yeah. In the past with the 3DS, they disabled save states on the 3DS emulator with Pokemon. So I've seen people say like they can't bring it to NSO because people could just rewind and save. They'll just disable that. They'll just grey it out.
That seems easy enough to do.
Yeah. Joyce says we don't have Puzzle Challenge yet. That's true. Puzzle Challenge. I'd love that on NSO.
Yeah.
But as much as I'd love to see Puzzle Challenge and Pinball, which could still come, I do kind of feel like it's time for just mainline releases.
Said that every year, but this does feel like this. We're like, this is the year this time. I feel like this is the one because we're coming up on a new console. Potentially a new generation, as you mentioned. Usually we would have that announced by now, but Pokemon seems to be taking their time this time. Like they're actually taking a moment to step back and figure things out. I guess that kind of goes into the fact that the usual cycle with like the anime, the trading card game, all that stuff is kind of at a different pace now that Ash has had his whole journey is done. They're doing different series on Netflix, so the cycle has kind of been shifting over the last generation or so.
For
So
sure.
we're starting to see how that works out now, and we have other little titles to complement that in the space in between, like the Pokemon TCG Pocket, which I'm kind of excited about to see what's going to be in about TCG Pocket, because I've been playing that a lot with friends, and that's like the one mobile game that I've become really into with Pokemon at this point.
Yeah. So I found out about Pokemon Presents not by seeing it myself, but my wife telling me about it. And she's never told me about a Nintendo presentation before I found out about it myself before. But she's so into TCG Lite now. So it's really funny to see that. There's actually an interesting question in live audience from Benji saying, do you think maybe they'd add a special Pokemon tier to NSO so they can charge for the mainline games? So like basic expansion plus Pokemon?
Oh man.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
The thing is, I feel like they could get away with that, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could get away with it. I don't know. I guess in the standard tier, everyone would get red, blue, yellow, gold, crystal, silver, which it's questionable about whether they would do that in the standard tier. The expansion would get you ruby, sapphire, emerald, and fire red, leaf green, which is a pretty big bolster for the expansion tier. I don't think they'll do their own tier specifically for Pokemon, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did.
Yeah, I can imagine they would just have like their own dedicated app just for Pokemon if they really want to go into that direction, because they're the Pokemon company and they can do that.
They can do that.
Yeah.
Here's just a broad prediction: the word "Switch 2" will not be acknowledged. They will not say those words in any capacity.
It will not be a part of this presentation. It continues.
Like we'll see, and that they won't say like this is what it looks like on Switch 2. This will also be playable on Switch 2. They won't acknowledge that stuff. That's for the future.
But like, put all the other stuff aside, I'm just generally very excited to see what we see from Pokemon Legends. ZA, or have we decided what we're even?
ZA is what we should call it, but I think Za's more fun to say.
Pokemon Legends ZA. Yeah, I'm just really excited to see what it actually looks like, what the concept is behind it, because it seems more like definitely not in the past as Legends Arceus was. And then yeah, just seeing they tease more Mega Evolutions, which is like the biggest like new twist they have ever added to Pokemon. People love Mega Evolutions, and they are excited to see even more of those, and to see that highlighted again. That's a really good direction to take for this one.
Yeah, they kept trying to do like a new version of Mega Evolution, but it was never quite as cool. Like you had like what was the latest one? They just turned into those crystal like things. It's
the terraforming.
Yeah,
or
like
the
it's yeah.
We had Gigantamax, which was kind of cool. They had different forms, but yeah, as you mentioned, that one is just they get a shiny crystal overlay, and that's essentially what that became. Yeah, terrestrialization. That's what it. I forgot the word. I'm sorry, it's a long word.
Yeah. I don't think it's just going to be ZA as the non-mobile game. We'll probably get something else. And I was thinking this, but I also saw Benji mention it in live audience. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. We had the remake of the first one back in 2020, I want to say, 2021. Regardless, a while ago now. And that team at Spikes at Chunsoft have done a few Mystery Dungeon games since then. But I definitely think they have the capabilities to do a new one with their pipeline. I wouldn't want a remake, though. I think I'd like the basis of the prior remake to form a brand new game.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of common to see a remake of a game come out and then see how that gauges interest, and then potentially, if they have the team around to do so, just make a new one based off of that and see how that does. We've seen that with different titles already on the Nintendo Switch.
Like Famicom Detective Club, that just spanned into a new game. We're probably going to get a new Advance Wars from the remakes. Yeah,
those are exactly the titles I was thinking of as well, because I think that would do very, very well. People love Mystery Dungeon. I love Mystery Dungeon. I want to see what they can make with a new concept, a new team.
Yeah. And it was stunning.
Even like
the remake was beautiful.
Oh, it was so good. And we've seen in all different forms. We've seen this. Like Grezzo worked on Link's Awakening, and then they made their own game with Echoes of Wisdom. So this kind of trend, I'm really happy with this trend. It's becoming a thing, and seeing like these teams working on remakes, and then they can make a completely new title. So hopefully that trend follows with Pokemon as well.
Hopefully. What other kind of spin-offs do you think are likely? Because it's unlikely we're getting Pokken 2. The Tekken team would have to be far freer than they are now. I guess Puzzle League is always on the table. We've not had a Puzzle League since the DS.
I mean, crazier things have happened. I guess we had a new Pokemon Snap happen this generation.
Yes.
Oh man, that one's also one of the best looking Pokemon titles here.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so you're saying there might be a chance for another Pokemon Conquest one day?
Let's lock it in. Let's say it's absolutely happening. Yeah.
Just do a Pokemon team. It's easy, right? You have all the time in the world. I'd love to see a new one.
Oh, Joyce says that mouse mode would be perfect for Pokemon Ranger. It actually would.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
There's so many Pokemon spin-offs I want to see. Mobile kind of killed them though. Like we've only had a couple on the Switch at this point, but having like Pokepark come back and Pokemon Puzzle League and Pokemon Pinball, I want all of those. But whether that actually happen, I don't know.
Yeah. There's so many different options that they have. It's like, what will they pull from specifically to present here? Because as you mentioned, I'm pretty sure they're going to show something just beyond the ones that we already know. There's always something new that they have to show at these, and I'm just wondering what that's going to be, especially with this one. So that makes this Pokemon Presents really exciting this year in particular.
Mark, isn't it? Like, we don't know anything really. I guess let's just humor this for a second, because when Gen 9 was revealed, we said like there's no chance that they're going to show it in this presentation. I remember us doing predictions, being like, this is too early for Gen 9, it's not happening, and then it happened. Is there any chance they actually do tease Gen 10 in this?
I can see, like, at the very minimum, they'll at least show or tease, like, the starters. I think that's how they did Gen 9 as well. They just showed you the very basic of starters at that point. There wasn't too much of the game itself, I don't think.
I think we had, like, a little trailer, but it was pretty vague, though, yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were, like, going through a museum, and it was like, oh, what is this? What are we looking at? Is this another Pokemon? And it was Gen 9. I'm sure maybe they'll show some kind of tease of that, but there's going to be like no mention of what console is going to be on, of anything of the sort. But it would be exciting to see new Pokemon as well, because like their cycle, it still lines up with their cycle a bit, because it's around that time that they would have a new generation showing.
Yeah. So
it's just depends, like, are they ready to show that, or do they feel confident enough to just show what they have this year with Legends and so forth?
Yeah. Is there anything else you expect from this? 'Cause we shouldn't go too out there for Pokemon Presents. I think it's pretty safe to assume a big chunk of mobile, possibly NSO, and that's like a realistic set. But there's always a chance for more.
Yeah, I think I wanted to ask you something before we started this in particular. So it's about Legends ZA as well. So we're gonna get more Mega Evolutions in this generation. We know that. But what do you think about seeing new Kalos forms for Pokemon? Because there's a lot of Pokemon that came out after Gen 6 that could go back and give it like a new form, how we've done with Galar and with the other generations at this point, Alola and so on.
Right. That sounds incredibly likely. Yeah, that's what Legends did, right? They didn't have like new Pokemon, but they had regional variants of older ones. Yeah, that's happening for sure. We're probably going to get a lot of Mega Evolutions of Pokemon that were introduced after Gen 6 as well. Like we'll have Gen 7, 8, 9 Mega Evolutions. I don't know what Pokemon would be like the forefront for a regional variant. What's like the iconic Gen 6 Pokemon?
Oh, for Gen 6?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I was thinking of like different Pokemon from beyond that might be like just have a different form. I had exactly one in mind.
Okay.
So we have from the Galar region, we have like Milcery and Alcremie. There's essentially just like the milky looking Pokemon, very confectionery Pokemon.
Yeah.
So what if instead of like leaning into the milk, there's one that is like cheese based instead. It's because of how France it's known for its different cheeses.
Yeah.
So it's like the evolution instead would be Alcheesy instead. It's like a nice gooey little cheese.
We my wife and I went to France right before COVID broke, and there was the most stereotypical thing. We walked off the Eurostar train, and the first person we saw was just this woman with a paper bag and a big baguette coming out of it. And that was our first impression of France. And there's absolutely going to be a baguette variant somewhere.
Oh, baguette Pokemon? Oh my goodness. There's got to be like, yeah, there has to be.
Like Pseudo
somewhere.
Wood, and he's just a baguette.
That'd be amazing. Is there a bread-based Pokemon?
Oh, I feel like there is. Yeah, there is.
Oh, I'm seeing in chat. Fido is the perfect choice, right? The puppy.
Yes.
It could just become a baguette.
Yeah. Perfect.
That's incredible. Amazing. See, yeah, we're already cooking the ideas here. Take notes, Pokemon Company.
Yeah, we've got them all. Just keep watching our predictions, Pokemon Company, and put them in your games. So yeah, I think that's probably it really for now. It's always a light one. Sometimes there's a nice shock in there. I'd be delighted to get another Pokemon Puzzle League, or even like a Pokemon Snap follow-up after New Pokemon Snap. I'd love to just see that series keep going and not go dormant again. But I'm happy. I'm happy with Zah, and I'm happy to wait until the next console to really go full out with a brand new Pokemon. But yeah, I think we're good. I think this is a good lineup of predictions.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right.
As you mentioned, I hope we have something like Puzzle League. I'm always open for more Puzzle League. Make it based on, Ash's journey throughout all the regions, not just Kanto, like the first one.
Exactly.
It's always been based on the anime. They are always so hesitant to like base this on the anime in the games themselves, but I think the series could get away with it.
And Puzzle Challenge, it was based on like the games, but like it was a journey through Gen 2, which like most spin-offs don't do. It was a what's the word? Just a adapted version of Gen 2, so you're just going through the gyms.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to see that more in spin-offs, just taking like the core game, but from a different gameplay angle. That'd be really rare.
Yeah.
Pokemon Puzzle League 99, don't tease us, Benji. Don't tease us.
That's the dream, isn't it? You would never see us again if that game released.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to run off for now. Have a great Pokemon Presents in just a few days' time. We'll be there to stream it live and react with you guys. We hope it's a good one, because they're not always good ones. But we'll see you later, everyone. Bye.
Right, till we meet again.